Christmas is supposed to be a season of joy, warmth, family. But long before the Christmas claus and twinkling lights, winter was a time of fear, hunger, and survival. Tonight, we're stepping back into the dark side of Christmas folklore. Ancient legends born in snow-covered villages, frozen forests, and long winter nights where people believed something was always watching them from the shadows. These are the spirits, creatures, and warnings that shape Christmas traditions long before modern holiday cheer. Welcome to Christmas Folklore Volume 1. Alright guys, so my name is Matt Harvey. I'm the founder and lead investigator with Deep Woods Paranormal. So tonight we're going to kind of get into the Christmas cheer, or maybe not. We're going to look into Christmas folklore. Let's talk about some of the creatures in the folklore that shaped Christmas. So the first one, and I think everybody kind of knows this one, and you may not know the rest of these. So a lot of these are actually from other countries, not in the United States. So for my United States viewers and listeners, just bear with me. It's actually kind of very interesting to see where Christmas traditions and stuff came from. And this kind of leads into all of that. There's little pieces of each one of these folklore that lead into the Christmas that we know here in the United States. Okay. So Krampus. Number 2, Frau Perchta, the Winter Witch. Number 3, the Yule Cat. Number 4, Belsnickel, Santa's dark cousin. Ooh. Number 5, Lwyd, the singing skull. Number 6, Befana, the Christmas witch. Number 7, the Yule Goat. Number 8, the Krampus, the Enforcer. Number 9, the Wild Hut. And number 10, the Nisse Tomte. All right, so let's get into these. Let's start actually with Krampus, because I know a lot of people know Krampus. You've all seen the scary movies with him, right? Krampus is the opposite of Saint Nick. He comes in and takes bad children and all that stuff. So Krampus is a horned, half goat, half demon figure from central and eastern the Alpine forest, who serves as a devilish companion of Saint Nicholas. Unlike Saint Nicholas, who rewards well-behaved children with gifts, Krampus punishes people who have been naughty during Christmas season. All right. So let's get into this. The origin of Krampus are believed to be stem from pre-Christian pagan traditions related to winter solace, which were later incorporated in Christian celebrations during the Middle Ages. The Catholic Church attempted to ban the figure several times due to its resemblance to the devil and its rowdy nature, but the tradition persists in remote alpine regions and eventually flourished again. So basically this is where people get, the bad Santa or whatever. So Krampus is usually a typical, basically seen as a fearsome creature with the following characteristics: a hairy, often brown or black figured, with cloven hooves, a long pointed tongue, and fangs. Ooh, scary. He is often, he is often shown dragging chains and ringing bells, which are thought to symbolize the Christian church binding of the devil. He also carries a rutan, a bundle of bridge sticks, sometimes replaced by a whip, used to punish, and a sack or basket on his back to carry away misbehaving children. So, when I was growing up, my parents used to tell me, "Oh, you're going to get coal in your stocking if you're not good." So basically, that's kind of where this came from. So Krampus night is celebrated on December 5th, which precedes St. Nicholas Day on December 6th. So on this night, well-behaved children find small gifts in their shoes from St. Nicholas. Again, we know him as Santa Claus. While naughty children receive a rod or a coal from Krampus. Ooh, yeah. You didn't want to be that bad kid as growing up in my house. Traditionally, men would dress up in elaborate Krampus costumes and parade through the streets, a practice known as Krampus Run to scare children and adults alike. And basically became heavily commercialized after this. Again, we've all seen the new scary movies with Krampus in it, probably. If you haven't, they're worth watching. Anyways, he basically was said to come and steal all the bad kids. But in reality, going back to this folklore, he actually wasn't. He was actually just there to essentially punish the kids by giving them coal and sticks for the parents to basically spank their butts with, or whatever kind of punishment they got for being bad. So again, this goes back to the Christmas holiday. These all kind of tie into Christmas in little pieces and forms. You got to remember that a lot of our society has brought this across to America, and little pieces of all of these we'll be talking about kind of play back into the Christmas holiday, if you will. So again, for our US viewers and listeners, just bear with me on here. So let's talk about Frau Perchta. So she's a figure from Alpine and German folklore, known as a Christmas witch or ancient winter goddess. She has a dual nature, appearing either as a beautiful white-robed lady who rewards good behavior, or a hideous crone-like figure who punishes the lazy and disobedient. So the legends and rules: she's the most active during the 12 days of Christmas, which run from December 25th to the feast of Befana on January 6th. During this time, she is said to roam the countryside, inspecting homes, ensure all households and spinning tasks are complete, and that people have been good throughout the year. So this goes back to when they used to spin up yarn and wool and all that stuff to make clothes. So essentially, I think they use this as a way to scare people into making sure they got their work done. So this didn't just pertain to kids, it pertained to parents. Basically, that's what she is. So it says, in modern alpine regions, the legend endures through the annual festivals and parades known as Perchta runs. Men dress up as elaborate masks as either the beautiful Perchta to bring luck and wealth, or terrifying ugly Perchta to drive away evil spirits and ghosts with fangs and horse tails. So yeah, she basically is just, in my opinion, was created to basically make sure people were doing their work. Again, this goes back to people when they lived in the forest. Things were not nearly as modern as they are now. They had to make their own clothes. They had to do their own thing to survive. And so I believe that this was put in place to essentially make sure people did their work. All right, so let's move on. The Yule Cat. It's a monstrous house-sized cat from the Icelandic folklore that is said to roam the snowy countryside during Christmas, preying on anyone who has not received new clothes before Christmas Eve. The legend was a practical, terrifying way to encourage hard work and generosity in land with harsh winters. So again, this goes back to punish people who were lazy or didn't get their work done. So again, making clothes and stuff like that would have been important back in those days. They couldn't just go out to Walmart or somewhere, order it on Amazon or whatever. They actually had to make their own clothes. And so again, they put these folklore in place to essentially make sure people were doing what they're supposed to be doing and not just basically being lazy. So it says, the legend of Yule Cat. The appearance: the Yule Cat is often described as an enormous, vicious black cat, often with glowing eyes, towering over buildings or trees as it prowls the countryside. So some of these things are interesting because, I mean, we know we have giant black cats, not this big, but we have panthers and stuff here. And so it just makes you wonder if maybe this is some kind of a, back in that day, maybe it was some kind of a, more of a cryptid type creature. maybe it was actually an old cat that actually may be of prehistoric nature, and maybe it was possibly a real thing back then. And this is back in the 1800s, and probably before that. This all this folklore came to be. But it just makes you wonder if maybe this might have been a real thing at one point. Anyways, so on Christmas Eve, the creature peers into windows, seeking out those without at least one new item of clothes. That's found to be without new garments were historically thought to be lazy and could be swallowed whole or have their Christmas bit extra holiday food portions eaten. So, yeah, it's part of the larger Icelandic Christmas folklore family, considered to be the pet of fearsome a goddess Grilla. God, I can't pronounce that. Grilla and her 13 mischievous sons, the Yule lads. So, as I go through these guys, if you're listening from a different country or whatever, and I apologize if I'm totally murdering some of these names, I apologize. But feel free to comment down below. Have you ever experienced any of this stuff? Do your parents, practice these? Do you guys still do these different types of Christmas folklore in your country? Let us know. I'd love to hear about it. All right. So, Belsnickel is a grumpy, fur-clad legendary figure from German folklore who, during the Christmas season, visits children to determine if they have been naughty or nice. Let's see. Do we know somebody named Saint Nick that does that? All right. Unlike the jolly Santa Claus, Belsnickel is stern and often devilish. Serves as an enforcer of good behavior. Wow. Okay, so the appearance and traditions. The name Belsnickel, God, I can't even say it. Belsnickel is thought to be a combination of the German words Pesel, meaning fur or pelt, and nickel, a name for Nicholas, hence furry Nicholas. Okay, cool. So he is typically in ragged clothes or animal fur, sometimes with a mask or a face cover and covered in soot. So, like he went down, basically gone down the chimney. Again, another American tradition. All right. So he usually arrives in homes 1 or 2 weeks before Christmas, often with a loud rapping on the window or doors with a switch. The judgment, once inside, he questions children about their behavior, sometimes asking them to sing a song or recite Bible verses. He carries a switch, a small whip. It's just basically a twig. And if you're from the South, you know exactly what that is. To be playful, swatting misbehaving children as he has pockets full of cakes, nuts, and candies for good behavior. A common antic involves scattering treats on the floor and giving quick flicks with a switch to children who grab them too greedily. So that's interesting. He's kind of like a Santa-like figure. And so I imagine I would imagine he still kind of has a place in folklore in this country. And maybe it's been carried over here too for the families that celebrated that. But I mean, like we celebrate Saint Nick, and I know we don't have any kids, but I know a lot of parents still tell their kids, if you're not good, you're not going to get any presents from Santa. And I imagine that German people who come over here, or even still live in Germany or around the world, still practice this as well. It's pretty interesting. So again, it kind of goes back to the Saint Nick or Santa Claus like figure. Okay. So the Mare Lori, this is Welsh for Grey Mary, is a folk custom from southern Wales involving a hobby horse figure that visits his house during Christmas season. The tradition is rooted in pre-Christian midwinter rituals and is a popular symbol of Welsh heritage. All right. So the figure, the central element, is an eerie hobby horse made from a real horse's skull, sometimes from wood, mounted on a pole. The decorations, the skull is adorned with colorful ribbons, bells, and rosettes often with glass or bauble eye for eyes. The carrier basically wears a long white sheet or cloth, is draped from skull to conceal a person who's carrying it, who operates the lower jaw using a spring or string, allowing it to snap at people mischievously. All right. It's accompanied by a group of revealers, traditionally men who often include a leader, a merry man, a musician, and characters like Punch and Judy. All right. So the custom typically takes place between Christmas Day and the 12th night, December 25th to January 6th, through dates can carry, though dates can vary by village, sometimes occurring on New Year's Eve or January 13th. So the ritual involves possession. The group parades the Lwyd through the streets at dusk, visiting local houses and pubs. Upon reaching a house, the party requests entry through a song. The household is expected to refuse entry, also through song, leading to a battle of verses or wits known as the Pawunko. So basically, they have to sing back and forth to each other. So entry and luck. If Marty's party wins the singing contest, they are permitted to enter the house and given food and drink. Then that causes the playful chaos. Lwyd then causes playful chaos, snapping his jaw and chasing people. It also brings good fortune and luck to the household for the coming year. That's cool. So essentially they come in and they'll sing, and it's like a giant party. Essentially they come in and it's just playful. They bring in this horse-like animal with a person basically being puppeteer, and they essentially go through and have fun, just basically partying and stuff. So, and then that's said to bring good luck, which is awesome. Okay, the legend of Befana. According to the legend, the three Magi, wise men, stopped at the house of an old woman to ask for directions while on their journey to find the baby Jesus. They invited her to join them, but she declined, citing her housework. So later on, she had a change of heart and set out to find the men and the newborn king, but was unsuccessful. To this day, she is said to continue her search, flying on her broomstick and leaving gifts for children in hopes of that one of them might be the baby Jesus. She is typically portrayed as covered in soot because she enters the house through the chimney. Okay, we know that, right? That's something we know here in America. And is known for sweeping the floors behind her before she leaves, symbolically clearing away the previous year's troubles. Interesting. So this is interesting too. Here's another part of where American culture has taken this. Stockings. Children hang stockings to be filled by Befana. Well-behaved children receive sweets, candies, toys, and small presents. For naughty kids, they receive coal. So families sometimes leave out glass of wine or plates of food for her, much like leaving cookies for Santa Claus. So that's very interesting. Okay, so this really all this stuff little pieces, bits and pieces of this kind of come back and match like the American culture, right? That we know of Santa Claus and what we do for Santa Claus. That's pretty interesting. All right, so let's keep moving on. The Yule Goat. This is a prominent Scandinavian and Northern European Christmas symbol and tradition with origins in ancient Germanic paganism. Modern representations of ornaments made of straw and bound with red ribbons, ranging from small house decorations to giant public displays. So on the side of this that I'm reading, there's actually beautiful, ornate, made items. There's a huge goat made out of straw, and essentially it's got a couple red ribbons kind of around it, and some other decorations that they use. This would almost be like when we put out decorations out in our front yards and put the Christmas lights up and stuff, this kind of matches our customs here in the United States as well. So this is pretty interesting. Like every culture that I'm reading right now seems to have a little bit and pieces of what we've kind of taken from the United States and put into our Christmas. So it's pretty interesting. Says the tradition's roots are generated back to the Norse mythology and agricultural customs. A common theory links the Yule Goat to the god Thor. If you've ever seen, the Thor movies, you know who I'm talking about. And it said he rode a chariot across the sky, pulled by two goats. These goats could be slaughtered for food and then resurrected the next day, symbolizing the cycle of death and rebirth that fits Winter Solstice theme. Okay, cool. So the Yule Goat is also associated with harvest. The final sheaf of grain harvested was believed to contain the spirit of the crop and was saved and shaped into goat figures for Yule celebrations to ensure good harvest for the coming year. Over centuries, the Yule Goat's role has shifted. In medieval times, it was rowdy, sometimes scary figure in a tradition called jewel bunking, where people in costumes went door to door, playing pranks and paying in exchange for food and drink. Okay, by the 19th century, it evolved into a benevolent gift giver before largely being replaced by the figure of Santa Claus. Interesting. So again, that became Santa Claus. So the Yule Goat is also known as Santa Claus now. Another folklore that turned into a folklore for here in the United States, which is interesting. Kind Rubent, German for farm Rubent, or servant Robert. And, if everybody remembers Robert the Doll, it's pretty interesting. So he appears on St. Nicholas Day, December 6th, to help Saint manage children's behaviors, rewarding the good and punishing the naughty. So role and traditions. So he's an he's an integral part of the Christmas tradition in most parts of Germany, particularly in the north, where he is more common than fearsome Krampus figure found in the Alpine regions. His main functions include testing children. He often asks children if they know where their prayers and can perform a trick like a song or dance. A trick. That's interesting. Interesting way to word that. Rewarding good behavior and punishing misbehaviors. His origin is typically deciphered as a hooded and bittered figure dressed in dark clothes, often covered with bells. His dirty face is in some descriptions is attributed to the soot or from going down chimneys. Okay. So his origins trace back to medieval German traditions and potentially pre-Christian pagan rituals. Some legends suggest he was a fondling raised by Saint Nick. So basically he was Saint Nick's kid, while others state that his name was a common term for the devil, giving him his darker side. So I guess he first appeared in the 17th century. The Wild Hunt. The Wild Hunt is the widespread European folk myth about a spectral, phantom, or supernatural group of huntsmen and hounds galloping through the sky or across the land at night. This phenomenon is widely believed to forebode a major catastrophic event such as war, plague, or the death of the witness. So interesting. It's not the 4 horsemen, it's the 3 horsemen. It's kind of interesting, guys, that they have this. Anyways, a lot of the stuff goes back into like the Bible and stuff. So anyways, the specific details of the Wild Hunt are significant across different cultures and regions, but common elements remain consistent. A spectral possession, the sound of hunting horns and the howling of dogs, and the danger of mortals who witness it. And the danger to mortals who witness it, So Leaders. The legend, let's see. The leader of the hunt changes depending on the region. Common figures including the Norse god Odin or Woden, the Welsh lord of the dead Gwyn, the mythological king Helra, the devil, or various female figures like Hulda or Perchta. Excuse me. Hunters and hounds. The hunting party is generally composed of the souls of the dead, fairies, and elves. The hounds are often described as having pitch black coats and glowing, hideous red eyes. Blah. Read that. So the hunters and hounds. The hunting party is generally composed of the souls of the dead, fairies, or elves. The hounds are often described as having pitch black coats and glowing, hideous red eyes. So the hunt's purpose is also varied. It might be endless punishment for a sin, such as hunting on the Sabbath, or a mission to collect the souls of the dying, or a force that drives out evil spirits. Excuse me. Okay, that was really interesting. So this one's pretty interesting too. You guys will laugh when you hear about this. You guys have seen garden gnomes. Well, that's pretty much what this one looks like. It looks like a garden gnome. Anyway, so the Nisse Tomte. The Nisse and Tomte, one's Norwegian, Danish, the other one's Swedish, are figures from Scandinavian folklore known as solitary, mischievous domestic spirits who served as guardians of farmsteads and homes. They protected the families and livestock from misfortune and are a central part of the Scandinavian Christmas tradition. Interesting. So again, remember I was talking about garden gnomes. They look a lot like it. They have the long white beards and the little red hats, particularly over their eyes. So their appearance. They are typically described as small, elderly men with long white or gray beards, wearing traditional farmers' clothes and concealing red hat, basically comes down over their eyes. They are often invisible to humans, though small children and animals may be able to see them. All right, so their role is in ancient beliefs were ancestral spirits or souls of the first farmer, ensuring the prosperity and well-being of the home and animals. They are generally helpful doing chores at night, but they have quick tempers and can cause mischief or even bring misfortune if disrespected or neglected. So their behaviors, they are known for braiding horses' manes and tails, and explicitly tidy, and they like a clean environment. Sometimes spilling things on the floor requires a warning shout to the Nisse Tomte so they don't fall in the puddle. Okay, so Christmas Yule tradition. Over time, their legend merged with Christmas celebration or the Yule. They evolved into a version of Santa Claus, bringing gifts on Christmas Eve. So again, this is one of those things where you leave them out a bowl of rice or porridge with a generous dollop of butter on top on Christmas Eve. The offering is a gesture of respect and gratitude for their year-round protection and ensuring their continuous goodwill. If we're getting the porridge, or only putting the butter out at the top of the bowl is a sure way to anchor them and invite trouble. So that's really interesting, guys. A lot of these I've never heard of, but a lot of them do go back to, Christmas pieces of Christmas that we look at here, and so it's just really interesting to me. We will be doing volume 2 here later today, and we will get that out to you guys probably on Thursday or Friday. Remember that the audio podcast comes out first the day before the video podcast. So if you're on the YouTube channel, the Rumble channel, and you're looking for the video podcast and you only see the audio podcast, just give it a day. It usually comes out the next day. All right, guys, with that, we will catch you guys on the next one.